Kate here from Kate's Creations, bringing you another Christmas craft video. Today we are going to learn how to make these little origami ornaments. Now, this is a little bit of a cheats origami. It's not true origami because we are using two different pieces and gluing them together, but there are origami elements in it. Now, it looks fairly complicated, but it's actually, once again, quite a simple little craft to make. And once you get the hang of it, you can whip these up pretty quickly. So let's get into it. So for this tutorial, you're going to need two pieces of square paper. I'm using a piece that's 15 centimeters by 15 centimeters. So this will give you a ball or a bauble that will end up measuring about 10 odd centimeters when you're done. So you can see in comparison to my hand there, it's a pretty big bauble. When you first try this, I would recommend doing it with bigger sheets of paper, so something like I've got the 15 by 15 centimeters, just because while it is a fairly simple ornament to put together, the folds can be quite fiddly. So practice on some bigger pieces first, and it should be easier if you try to make smaller ones. So we have two pieces of paper, ribbon, a pair of scissors, and I've just got this little plastic needle to poke a hole through to pop the ribbon in the end. But you just need something to make a hole to pop your ribbon through at the end. And you'll also need glue. All right, well, let's get into it. So to start with, we have our right side down. And we're folding our paper into a square. Now I also use a little scoring tool or a bone folder to make sure my folds are super creased. You don't need to do this, but it just does make the whole piece a little bit nicer, makes your edges a little bit crisper and makes all your folds a little bit easier at the end. So I usually fold it with my hands first and then go over the fold with my bone folder. So we're folding it crossways, and we're folding it, so we're folding crossways over diagonal, and then we're folding it across the halfway mark, up and down, and doing that both sides. So this is very much a symmetrical ornament. Whatever you do on one side, you pretty much do the same on the other. So once you've got it to that point, we want to make this into a square. So we put our paper on the diagonal, we bring your two pieces in like that and make like a square. Now what we're doing is taking each flap and folding it down. So I tend to get my bone folder and sort of open this section up, just makes it a little bit easier. But basically we're just pushing that section down like that. Fold that over, do the same on the other side. So bring your flap up, pop him down like that. And then we do the same on the other sides here. So I tend to sort of open my model up, make him a bit flat. Flatten this section down. And do the same on this side. You can sort of start to see our little octagon shape sort of coming together. So we get to this point, and we're wanting to fold in pieces here that have a triangle flap. So you can see some pieces have like you've got this side where you've got your double flaps, you've got this side where the whole piece is still attached to the unit. We fold this bit up, and we're going to tuck this flap. We fold it up to make it easier for the next step, and we then tuck it under in there. So we basically just fold it back on itself. We do that for the next one. Fold it back under itself. Find the next one. Fold it back under itself and find the next one. And fold it back under itself. And if you've got a bit confused or a bit messed up with this model, just make sure you've got, and when you look at it this way, you've got sort of even flaps on all sides. Now what we do is take each one of these flaps and fold the middles up like this. And then we're going to tuck these middles back in on themselves. So really make sure you've got that middle tucked in like that. And this is where making sure you have your creases really tight is important, because the tighter your creases are, the easier it will be to fold all this back on itself. Actually, what I tend to do is actually go around and fold every crease back on itself. So you really get a tight crease there when you're going to go back and fold it on itself. There you go, it's gone in much easier now. We do it on that side. There you go. And we do that on this side. And once again, you just go around the whole model and do that on every corner, every edge. Okay, so we get to that point, and that is pretty much our first unit completed. So all we're going to do now is open him up just a little bit, make sure all our folds are in the right place. So you should get sort of like a concertina effect around the whole unit, and we're done. It should look like that. So that's the first one. Now we do that all over again with the second piece of paper. So I will go ahead and do that now. So again, make sure your right side is face down. Okay, so here is our second module. So we're going to open that up, and once again make sure all our little pieces are where they need to be, which they are. So you should have a piece that looks like that. Now what we're going to do is we're almost ready to glue it together, but we're just going to pop our piece of ribbon in the top first, so we've got some way to actually hang it. So what we do, I'm just going to take 20 centimeters or so, a ribbon, snip it off, and we're just going to, I'm using a little plastic needle, it's just going to make it a bit easier. So just going to thread that end through the needle. No, not sorry, we're going to double it over and thread it through. So you double the ribbon over, thread it through the needle, and I might put my brown one on top. So decide which one you want on top, and just come straight through. If you can see that with the camera, just come straight through and poke your needle or your ribbon straight through the top of your unit there. So it might be a little bit tricky. Just bring them straight through. And bingo. Alright, now we'll do, so you pull your ends back just enough to give you a knot, but you don't want to pull it all the way through. Just do a nice big knot in your ribbon. Now I'm doing a double knot here because I think my hole in the paper is a little bit big from that needle, so I'm just going to make a double knot. You can also tie a bead or something on the end of this to stop it pulling through if you like. Alright, that's pretty good. And you just pull that through at the end so that sits there like that. And now we're going to glue these two halves together. So the easiest way to do that is pop your two halves together first, so you can see sort of exactly how they're going to sit and what size it's going to be, because they're sort of all going to interlock, but it's better to try and get this a feel for the size that it's going to be before you glue it, rather than once you've got the glue on there and you're trying to sort of manipulate it when it's all stuck together. So there you go, you're probably looking at about that size. Yeah, that's looking good. So they all interlock like little teeth. Just pop it around like that, and that's looking good. Alright, so we're getting our glue. Now I'm using this little glue stick with a writing nib, or a little nozzle on it there, so it makes it really easy to apply the glue. So I basically start, oh, that's way too much. Now usually with these things a little bit of glue goes a long way, so you don't need a lot, and often when you push your pieces of paper together, the glue is going to spread out anyway, so you really don't need a lot. So you can either do this sort of one fluff at a time, or you can go around and do the whole thing at once. I prefer to do the whole thing at once, but it really depends how confident you are with controlling your unit and your paper. Alright, so I've got all the glue on there. I'm going to pull this one up. And just sandwich them together there. And you can just go around and pop your little teeth in. You have to work semi-quickly here because it is glue and we don't want it to dry before it's all stuck together, but you do have a little bit of working time here. So you basically get all your teeth in together and just sort of keep manipulating it and moving it until everything's sort of stuck down. That's looking pretty good. Again, you can sort of open it up a little bit just till all those teeth sort of match up. And as the glue starts to dry, it will start to hold itself in place. And you can just keep manipulating it, moving it around till it sits properly for you. You can just flatten the edges down, like squeeze it from the top until that's all sticking. Once you've got it pretty much how you want it to sit, just go around and actually pinch all these little edges together just so it sits properly. Make sure your glues, all your edges are glued down. And try to line the edges up as best you can there. If you have to open things up or manipulate them a little bit, just play with it, work with it. Like I said, you've got a little bit of working time with your glue there. And there you have it. One little Christmas bauble ornament for your tree. So there you go. I hope you've really liked this video. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.